I know we live in an age when everyone is supposed to be special. Everyone gets a participation trophy. We cannot be lacking in any way. We are all just differently gifted, differently able. Well, we're not stupid. We know it's not so. But nevertheless, we propagate it. Because God forbid little Johnny or little Sally ever know that they are lacking in some way. They are special, by golly. Now, you know that's garbage, and I know that's garbage, and guess what? Little Johnny and Sally know that it's garbage too. But it's expected. We're expected to maintain the lie and not tell them the truth, because if we tell them the truth, well, then we're being abusive. The reality, folks, is that we live in a sin-fallen world. And as the result of sin, every single one of us are born with all manner of various handicaps. Some are visible and some aren't. Our minds and our bodies are imperfect. They fail us. The fact that I have to put on my glasses in the morning before I can even see where the alarm clock is, much less what it says, does not make me differently abled. It makes me handicapped. The fact that my back most of the time feels like it has broken glass in it does not make me differently abled. It means that I have a chronically bad back. I have a birth defect from original sin called spinal stenosis. And believe me, it is not a special ability. If we insist that we are special in some physical or earthly way, and we continue seeking some kind of earthly or human way in which we are somehow above others, we are forever lying to ourselves and our children, and we are continuously disappointed. We're continuously disappointed with ourselves, which generally leads us then to be hypercritical of everybody else. Because somehow if we're hypercritical of everybody else, that draws the attention off of us. It occurred to me one day that this world is broken and I can't fix it. The world is broken, people are broken, and there is nothing any of us can do about it. But here we are. Here we are until either Jesus takes us out of the game or he returns to earth. So we have to decide what we are to do with this time that we have. We have a choice to make. When I do premarital care for folks getting married, I tell them that in marriage, divorce is not a choice. So the only choice you have is not whether or not to stay married, but whether or not to be miserable. I have a good friend who says, till death do us part. It starts out as a promise, ends up as a goal. Similarly, for our whole lives, we have that same kind of choice to make. Because no one is going to fix all the brokenness in your life. You're not going to have a choice as to whether to have a perfect life, but you will have the choice of whether or not you want to be miserable. And if you choose misery, well, there's not much I can do to help you with that. Have at it. And you probably don't need my help, because in general, people are pretty good at misery. But if you choose joy, then I can point you in the right direction. The book of Deuteronomy, our Old Testament reading for today, is Moses' farewell sermon to his people of Israel. They're getting ready to cross over into the promised land after wandering in the wilderness for 40 years because neither Moses nor Aaron would ask directions. And they wanted to understand something. He wanted them to understand the very thing that I'm telling you today. You can't fix the brokenness of the world, but you can choose to either have curses or blessings. Moses says, "See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. If you want life and good, follow the Lord. If joy is your choice, follow the Lord. He was even kind enough to write it all down for us in 10 simple statements. It's that simple. Keep the 10 Commandments. But you know from reading the rest of the Old Testament and just from looking at your own life that it's not that simple. Those 10 Commandments are in fact impossible for us to keep. So if we can't keep those 10 Commandments, how are we to choose blessing? How are we to find joy? How are we to have life and good? Well, look at the last verse of our hymn for the day. We sang this. In what you give us, Lord, to do, together or alone, in old routines or ventures new, may we not cease to look to you, the cross you hung upon, all you endeavored, done. Jesus already kept the law for you. Jesus chose blessings for us. They're already ours. That's why we're special. Not because of our physical abilities or our physical attributes or our mental prowess. We are special because Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the second person of the Holy Trinity, loved us so much that he chose to die on the cross for us, to be damned to hell for us, and then to enter us through his word and through the baptismal waters and through the very body and blood in the Holy Supper, so that we are filled to the brim with Jesus. And that's why we are special. There is no other reason. And any other reason would pale by comparison anyway. We are special. And in that, we find joy. And we find life. And we find blessings in this broken world because we know how it all ends. You and I shall soon inherit a new and a perfect world that will be ours for all eternity. So when you find yourself about to bemoan the fact that you are not so blessed as someone else, or when you find yourself about to criticize someone for some flaw you perceive in them, stop. Just stop. We are all broken. Do you like making yourself or others miserable because of it? You're not going to change the brokenness by making either yourself or others miserable. So choose life. Choose blessings. Choose to bask in the promise of Christ that we will all be returned to perfection when our time on this earth is over. You know Jesus Christ died on the cross to pay for your sins, but do you think about what that means for your daily life? It means that none of us have to be the sin police. None of us have to run around monitoring everybody else's choices. You can stop nitpicking yourself and others. Because Jesus has already handled all that. And we are special because we are inheritors of paradise forever. Focus on spreading that message instead of any random and meaningless criticism and complaining.